All right, in this video, real quick, here's what I want to cover in this video. Some corrections, changing about the API with the weather underground. I also want to talk about, the answer I was looking for. I think we found it to temp_F if you've watched the video I did on the API weather underground. And I also want to look at color extraction a little bit more because we were sending some variables over from Tasker. And notice here, like if I go to, if I switch to, let's switch to Earthborn. Remember I did a video on all this stuff, and notice the colors are changing in my rectangles, my text items, all that stuff. Let me change it again. What about water porn? And notice it's pulling different colors all over the place. So that's what I want to talk about here, all of those things. First, let me go ahead and cover the color extraction. So with that said, the only thing we have to change in KLWP is the code for color extraction. So if you've seen my videos on color extraction, if you haven't, go have a look. But if you have, great, let me show you how to apply that. We sent a variable over from Tasker. So in Tasker, when I did the video on, let me use my finger, tag on it. All right, when we did the variable in Tasker, or when we created the task in Tasker, JSON pick working, if I scroll down to the bottom here and you see this KLWP send variable, it's JSON pick pull, and I did show you how to do this stuff. I didn't show you how to use it for color extraction, and heck, I didn't even show you where to put this in KLWP. So a correction here as well. So going into KLWP, if we go to, let's look at this little rectangle down here. I have that for just customizing, pulling pictures, changing some filters and things like that. If I go to the rectangle and then I go to the paint for that rectangle and I look at the code in the calculator, this is the color extraction code. All right, so color effects or CE, BP, this right here is what's different. When I did the color extraction code in a previous video, we were pulling the picture from one of our global variables that we added a picture, like just from some random file in our folder. But now we're sending a picture directly from Tasker. Well, kind of, sort of, but yeah, the BR Tasker, JSON pick pull. That's how you broadcast for variables in Tasker. The BR Tasker, and then whatever that variable you named it. Remember, just a moment ago I showed you JSON pick pull. So we're extracting a color from this image, and then I'm applying some of that alpha stuff to it as well, so we can maybe make that rectangle transparent or non-transparent using some other global variables. But I did cover all that in a video, so go have a look at that. I do want to address how do we pull it from the picture that we're getting from earth porn, nature porn, etc. And then also what I failed to mention in that video when I was making it was, where do you even put that? How do you get that picture to show up? Well, I'm using it as my background image, so I go to image, bitmap, I'm doing a code on the bitmap, and then I'm using that same code here, BR Tasker, JSON pick pull, because that was the variable that we named it within Tasker. So I hope that clears those two things up. And again, as you start pulling, other pieces, what you may notice every once in a while, I wonder if I want to do it, where did it go? I want to do, there was a buffalo up here that, nature porn doesn't get updated too often, but I don't know, something, I kind of like that. I don't know, it's just me maybe. But yeah, so other updates. When I made the Weather Underground API video, I was talking about the Stratus plan. Well, go ahead and update to the Anvil plan. It's still completely free. The only thing that's going to change based on cost, notice right now monthly pricing $0. If you want to do more hits, obviously that's going to cost you an arm and a leg. But stick with developer. 500 calls per day I think is fine. 10 calls per minute should be okay as well. And now, where did this information come from? Sam Barilaro, sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly, but he mentioned the Anvil plan. So the Anvil plan is completely free, and look at all the extra stuff you get. You even get some thumbnails, like satellite thumbnails, radar images. Of course, for now, we'll have to use Tasker to pull those. But I can do a video on that, request a tutorial, and I'll be more than happy to show how to do that. It'll work kind of similar to the way we pulled the nature porn, earth porn, what I'm thinking at least. I haven't done it yet. And then what also, Sam also noticed why temp_f wasn't working. Well, if we look at a JSON file, and I went through all of this in that video when I did the Weather Underground API, but remember how I was getting the temperature string? I could get that to show. Well, notice the temperature string there has quotation marks around it, but temp_f does not. Temp_c does not. And I couldn't get those two to work using KLWP. There's some other things up here. Granted, that's what it is, and I think that is what the case is. If you try to do dew point _f, notice the 57 doesn't have quotation marks around it, the 14 doesn't either, so it's probably not going to pull those. However, I can get Tasker to pull all of this information. If you want a tutorial on that, make a request over at my website and I can cover that for you as well. More than likely, I kind of see myself making a Tasker video on pulling this stuff, because Tasker does pull it. It sends it over to KLWP just fine, and I haven't had any mistakes so far. So yeah, there's that. What else was it? There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. Oh, I can't remember it now. This is how I forget stuff. Okay, so we talked about Anvil Plan. We talked about why the temp stuff wasn't working. Oh, yes. And then also what Sam mentioned as well. So thanks, Sam, for all this information, because this is helping everybody who subscribes and watches all these videos. What he also mentioned, too, was that if we use the longitude latitude in KLWP, if you make it a the less accurate one, basically what he was realizing that it was pulling information whenever he went from one side of the house to the other side of the house, which can make your number of pulls per minute go up, maybe. You know, an answer to that too would maybe to just change to the zip code. I even mentioned that in the video too, when I was trying to pull the same information from the internet and getting KLWP to show the same thing too. So maybe changing the zip code or the less accurate longitude latitude. And what you can do too, once you get your key and stuff like that, I'm not going to do this because I'm tired of regenerating keys, but you'll have these things up here like documentation, and I did show y'all some of this. Well, you also have an analytics. I think it's over here somewhere, and that you can keep track. It's a little graph that shows you how many times you're pulling that information from Weather Underground. So, you know, 500 pulls per day, calls per day, 10 calls per minute, you should be okay. But keep that in mind, and you can use the analytics to watch that. Do I have any other corrections or comments to make? I don't think so. So yeah, just a couple of follow-ups, and yeah, there you have it. That's it for this video. Hope it helped.